Right, the West has given up on manufacturing, right? Well, that's not exactly how it looks at GE, which has just enjoyed a year of across-the-board growth in its industrial units, despite the shaky global context. John Rice is vice chair at GE, joins us now. Morning to you, John.
Good morning.
I guess businesses, all these businesses need certainty. What is certain in the world for you right now?
I think there's certainty that things are going to be uncertain for a while. I think if you look at what's going on in Europe and in some of the developed countries, it's going to take a while for this to sort out. And so companies like ours have to adjust to this new reality and focus on the areas where there are growth, and we see a lot of those.
So, John, first of all, Christia Freeland,
Hi,
thank you for freezing on our behalf.
Yeah.
I feel incredibly guilty seeing the sort of frozen breath come out of your mouth.
Oh, don't worry about it.
As you know, there is a lot of talk of a revival of U.S. manufacturing. Your boss, Jeff Immelt, is a person who's often in the center of those. Is that really happening, and how much of it is driven by the coming online of cheaper energy?
You know, I really think at the core of this, it's about competency. I think there's too much focus on wage costs in terms of what ends up determining where things are done, whether it's the U.S. or Mexico or China. We put manufacturing jobs where we have competent people. Wage rates are a relatively small part of the cost of what we do. So we have good people in the United States. They do good work, and we're going to add manufacturing jobs there. But we're also going to put them in other countries where we find the same dynamic.
This point, John, about wages not being that significant anymore, are we partly sort of moving towards the post-human factory? I mean, how far is the mechanization, the computerization going right now?
You know, Christia, I think we're always going to need good human beings to sort through challenges, to innovate, to create opportunities. So while certain things that we do today that are automated that weren't automated 10 years ago, I think human capital is still the most important aspect of what we do and what we create and what we invest in to be a more competitive company.
You are involved in the production of a lot of very complex machines. If you were called up by Boeing for some advice, what would you say to them about Dreamliner?
Look, I don't want to pretend to be able to give the Boeing team advice. They're a great partner.
Would you give them a hanky?
Excuse me?
Would you give them a hanky, maybe?
Well, I
or
think
a drink?
Boeing's a great team. They're going to sort through this. Airliners are very difficult. The technology in the airliners today is very hard to kind of put together. The Dreamliner is state-of-the-art, and I'm confident that Boeing's going to work through these issues.
So, John, I have one last question to you. Talk to me about your decision on where in the world to live and what has shaped that.
Well, I think that it was partly substance and partly symbolism. When we created this organization a couple of years ago, we knew it had to be outside the United States, and that was the symbolism part. Could have been in any one of a half a dozen different countries. The location of Hong Kong works. It's obviously in the center, so to speak, of Asia. It's part of China, but it's not to diminish the rest of the world, because what happens in Latin America is just as important to our growth equation as what happens in Asia or the Middle East.
Has that move transformed GE and how it works, having you there?
Well, honestly, I think it's a little bit about my move and a lot about the bigger leaders now that we have all over the world, in our businesses, in countries and regions, because this is about making decisions and doing things that are closer to our markets, closer to our customers, closer to the point of contact, if you will. So it's only a very little bit about what happens and the things that the team in Hong Kong does, and so much more about what our businesses are doing everywhere in the world and how we facilitate that.
John Rice, thanks a lot for talking with us today.
Thanks.